I'm paying by the minute in order to be able to sit up here and speak to you guys. So I want to make sure I don't run over because radio doesn't pay well. But let me say and begin by saying it's an honor to be back here. North Central is something that when I was a kid, my parents moved to Washington Township as I was beginning kindergarten, and they did so that I could go to school in Washington Township. And as a result of that, I was able to go to school at Allisonville, Eastwood, and North Central with the same group of kids all the way through. And they're all still my very best friends to this day. And when I was sitting in the seat that you graduates are sitting in now, it doesn't seem like long ago. It was, but it doesn't seem like long ago. But I knew two things about myself, and I think they're two things that are true of all of you right now. Number one, I had a dream. I had goals and I had a dream. And number two, I was terrified. And every one of you right now is sitting and you're looking at the person next to you. You're sitting in front of your friend or beside your friend. And you're getting ready to go into a new venture here, and you're getting ready to go into a new chapter. And you want to be the best. You want to do your best. But every one of you is self-conscious, every one of you is terrified, and every one of you is a little bit insecure that maybe you're going to slip up. Or maybe the person in front of you is a little bit better. Or the person behind you is a little bit sleeker. Or the person next to you is a little bit smarter. And the one thing that each of you needs to understand, and it will become a little bit easier for you when you truly grasp and understand it, is that's totally normal, and it's completely okay. But what you're doing now is essentially for the first 17, 18 years of your life, you've been on a road, and somebody else has kind of been driving that car for you, whether it be your parents, whether it be your aunts, uncles, mentors, teachers. You've had guidance, but you've never really been able to grab that wheel. And now for the first time, you're sliding over into that driver's seat. And it's important to understand something. For the first 18 years of your life, for the first 13 years of schooling, if you went to kindergarten, 12 if you did, you've been moving in a car at the same speed as everybody else, because that's the way it's orchestrated. But now all of a sudden, you're in charge of that accelerator. Some of you are going to take off and not hit a rest area. Others, if you're like me, take a little bit. Believe me, and my parents are here somewhere. Thankfully, I can't see them because of the light's here, but because I don't want to see them nodding when I say I had a ton of screw-ups, right? My parents are out there right now. If you see two people in their early 70s nodding their head like, yeah, did they ever? That's my parents, okay? But that's okay. Part of that's growing up. But for the very first time, everybody's moving at a different pace and changing lanes. It's important that you change the lanes and you find the lane that's best for you, and you go at the speed that's best for you, and you pick those rest areas when it's best for you. Because now what you're doing is entering a phase of life where you're becoming the best you that you can be. And there's different definitions of what success is. Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be a lawyer? What success means is to be the best you that you can be. Now in my case, I've been very fortunate, because I can actually sit here and tell you that one of the dreams I had when I was sitting in your chair 24 years ago was I knew, among other things, that I wanted to be a radio announcer or an Indianapolis sportscaster, and notably I wanted to be involved with the Indianapolis 500. And if I'm standing here today and I look a little bit tired, it's because I haven't caught my sleep up yet from the fact that on Sunday, I was calling turn 2 for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network in my 9th year as part of the broadcast of the Indianapolis 500. But I got to that point due to a number of different things. And I wanted to share with you the formula that I think might help you. And I call it your PhD. And I don't mean your doctorate, and I don't mean you have to go and become a doctor. Those things are great, don't get me wrong. But PhD is an acronym I use for what I think at your age right now is important to grasp. And the first is persistence. Now this is a tricky one, okay? Guys, when you go to college and you have some girl that you're interested in and you want to go out on a date with her, you got to be careful with persistence because you don't want to be annoying. It's a very delicate balance, okay? And believe me when I tell you, it takes a while to figure this out. But when it comes to chasing your dream, persistence is an important thing. When I was in the 6th grade, I called a local television station in town, and the sports guy answered the phone, and I said, I want to be a sportscaster. And he said, everyone wants to be a sportscaster, and he hung up on me. So I called right back, and he answered the phone, and I said, no, I don't think you understand. I really want to be a sportscaster. And so he said, what is your name anyway? I said, my name is Jake Query. And he said, now is it J Query or Jake Wary? And to this day, this same person, 30 years later when he sees me, says, is it Jake Wary or J Query? But he remembered my name because I was persistent. And I let him know that I wanted to shadow him and learn, and I wanted to become a sportscaster. So in doing that, eventually my parents took me down. I did a job shadow for a day at Channel 6 in 1986. And by 1992, when I was in college, I had my own entry card into Channel 6, and I would go down, and while my friends were out doing other things, I would go down and I would watch the sportscasts, and I would practice, and I would watch on tape everything that had been done that day in the newscast. And my parents actually, when I would come home really late on a Friday or Saturday night, my parents really never asked me anything about it because they knew that I was out actually at Channel 6 trying to learn my craft, trying to learn what I wanted to do. Always err on the side of letting people know who you are and what your dream is. Now, there's a fine balance between being annoying and being persistent. Some of that is just part of learning as you go, learning on the job of life, if you will, okay? But persistence is a very important thing. Next would be humility. This is a critically important one. Nobody likes to be around the guy that's constantly talking about how great they are. Nobody likes to be around somebody who always makes the center of attention about themselves. Now, if you're nodding right now and looking to the person next to you, do not let them know you're looking at them because they don't need to know that you're thinking, yeah, that's exactly this guy right here. He's talking about himself constantly. Nobody wants to be that guy, right? But humility is very important. One of the things you'll learn, and this is very important, and it's one of the true blessings of North Central High School. You guys don't realize this, but where you are sitting right now and where you have gone for 4 years is one of the great gifts and the great blessings that kids across this country never receive. And that is that for 8 hours a day or whatever it is, and I still can't believe I used to get up and be here at 7:20 in the morning. That's absolutely asinine, by the way. And if there's anything I can tell you, take a deep breath right now because you're never going to have to do it again. It's wonderful. But, yeah, see, there you go. Unless you get a real job, and then you have to. But so anyway, one of the beauties of it is this, and this is a wonderful, tremendous thing. You've gone to school with, you've socialized with, you've had lunch with, you've cheered at basketball games and volleyball games and football games and junior spec and counterpoints and everything else, and you've done all of that with people that look different than you, speak different than you, act different than you, were raised different than you, pray different than you, and you don't think a thing about it. And there are people that you're going to find when you go to college all of a sudden that are floored by the fact that you know Asian kids and Jewish kids and Muslim kids and Christian kids and Catholic kids. And the absolute beauty of North Central High School is the fact that when you really think about it, you look around and you think, really, to me, everybody was just a Panther. And you never, ever thought about that. And that's a wonderful gift that cannot, and there is no price tag on that. But that teaches you a little bit about humility because you've learned already, without even knowing it subconsciously, that we're all the same on the inside. We all beat the same way. We all breathe the same way. We all move the same way and think the same way. And it doesn't matter what we look like, who we love, or how we love. And I can't emphasize to you enough what a tremendous advantage that is for you as you go out into the real world, because you're going to find people, sadly and unfortunately, that that's not the case. But up to this point, for the most part still, even that said, you've run around with and socialized and hung out with people that have your same interests. But part of humility is a beautiful thing that I can't emphasize to you enough, and that is this. For 18 years now, 17 years, 19 years, whatever it might be, however old you are, for as long as you've been socializing and interacting, you've been magnetized towards people that are the same as you. But you've been aware of the fact there are people around you that are not the same as you. I beg of you, and I ask of you now to begin embracing people for their differences as opposed to being magnetized for their similarities. You will find that life is far more enriching, it's far more tasteful, it's far more zestful, and it's far more satisfying when you spend it around people who challenge you to think differently and you embrace them for those differences. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you have a comfort level with it already without even knowing it. And that's one of the greatest gifts that Washington Township and North Central has given you. And lastly, the D stands for digital imaging. And this is one that all of you in the front are thinking, what is he talking about? And every parent is definitely thinking, what absolutely is he talking about? But I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, whatever the newest thing is today. I can't keep up with it. It changes every 3 weeks. But I'll make it short because I promise, because now I'm probably getting into overtime on what I owe for giving this speech anyway. But here's the thing with digital imaging for all of you. And not every one of you is going to go to college, and that's fine. You can make a great living and be a very valuable member of the society and have a wonderful life by finding out what it is that makes you the best you, not what society makes you the best, what you feel makes you the best. But when you do it, I've got news for you. Every job interview you go into from now on, every college interview you go into from now on, every internship interview you go into, the second you walk out the door, you're being Googled instantly. And here's the thing. You wear brands like Nike, North Face, Oakley. You want to drive cars like Mercedes and BMW. You do all of those things because those brands have convinced you they're the best. They branded and marketed themselves that they're the best. Michael Jordan wore Nike because he's the best and Nike's the best. People that climb mountains wear North Face because they're going to new heights and North Face is the best. Every time you do something foolish in college, or you get together with your friends on a Saturday night and you're acting goofy, and believe me when I tell you this, you're expected to do some pretty dumb things over the next few years. I'm not encouraging it, but I'm saying it happens, right? It's part of growing up. The world doesn't need to know about it. Your digital imaging is your brand. And every time you post something on Twitter, and every time you post something on Facebook, what you're doing is adding to your brand, and you are commercializing yourself and promoting yourself in a way that later somebody who can make critical decisions about your future or about your opportunities looks at it and says, no, wait a minute. I want somebody like Nike or North Face or BMW or Mercedes that is branding that they are the best they can be. And this person's putting pictures out there for the world to see in their digital imaging and building their brand to show that they are actually acting completely sophomoric and immature. So I'm going to go with somebody with a better brand. I'm not saying don't have fun. I'm saying sometimes the most fun things between you and your friends stay between you and your friends, and the rest of the world doesn't need to know it. Period. But in conclusion, I would simply say this. The world is now your oyster. You are getting ready to go out and you are getting ready to start and you're getting ready to chase those dreams. And you are terrified. And that's normal. But you're equipped. You're getting ready back on that interstate in your car, and whether you know it or not, whether you have a flat tire, whether your car stalls, whether you run out of fuel, all along the way, from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, in all areas, you've been given tools into a toolbox in the trunk of your car that is going to allow you the opportunities to get back and keep moving at your own pace. And so long as you don't get too caught up on what speed everybody else is going, and you go the speed that's the best for you, and you keep sight of what I'm talking about, and you chase those dreams, the work of your administrators, your teachers, and your parents now, it will always be there. But now it's your job to go out and utilize it. And I can promise you this as somebody who's been to most parts of this country and some parts of Arkansas. I can tell you, you won't find a high school, you won't find an educational experience that is more vast, that is more diverse, that is more rich, and that is more rewarding for you than North Central High School. So with that, I simply say to you, the best of luck. Enjoy your graduation, enjoy Blast Off, and of course, hail our Panthers. Hats off to you.